2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Victoria Park or download the Revo Fitness app. RevoFitness.com.au or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.
Welcome to the Chrissy Cast, the half hour of power. Actually, I better start the timer. Today's episode is a special one because it is very personal. A few years ago, I can't remember how long ago, but it was during lockdown, I made a friend, Josh Reid Jones. In that weird way that happened in lockdown, you sort of fast-tracked your connection. We became really, really close. But last year, in 2024, I was deep in the thick of it, sorting out my life, my work, my family, my finances. All of this was new to me. And in order to do so, I withdrew from everyone for over a year. I thought it was going to be a couple of months, and it turned out to be closer to 18. I just disappeared. Now, most people, understandably, would have taken that as a sign, would have judged me for it. They may have moved on. They would have definitely taken it personally. But Josh didn't. Throughout that entire time, he kept checking in. No pressure, no expectations, just kindness. Just a quiet, constant, active kindness. And I wondered then, why did he never assume the worst? Why did he never feel slighted? Why did he never stop reaching out? Did he ever think, maybe I should just give up on this? And if he did think that, then why didn't he follow through? We haven't spoken about any of this yet. We still haven't really seen each other. I've saved it for today because I've got so many questions. Welcome to the Chrissy Cast, Josh Reid Jones.
Hello, my love.
Now, what did you think was going on with me?
It doesn't take a genius. I obviously knew what was happening all the way up to the lead into everything, you know, and it's all the big stuff. It's like really big, heavy things for a big-hearted person who's got lots of people relying on them. You know, heavy is the crown, or heavy is the head that wears the crown. And you've got a lot of, when you've got a lot on, sometimes people, just more people, there's just more to deal with, you know? So
Mo people, mo problems.
Mo people, mo problems, yeah. If you feel like you have to do things, it can be like that. And
it was just the weight of the responsibility.
yeah.
And it was all new. And I feel like my life, I'm the sort of person, do you turn down the radio when you're reversing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do too. Because I have to shut out the noise or I can't concentrate. And that's sort of what I had to do. I was so full of, like, I just didn't know what to do when you would contact me because I was like, I'm not the same person I was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just thought, you know, if I do catch up with him, it's going to be such a downer and I don't even know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed. And so I did that awful thing that I never do, where I just never responded. Did you think that I had ghosted you at any point?
No, I didn't think ghosting. I just thought, you know, you're in it. And probably, if anything, that just means, you know, that it's more important to just, you know, hear if you need it and just do that with no expectation. Because, like, that's obviously what's happening. You, the first couple of times, it's like, oh, you're just busy. We're both a bit shit sometimes on messaging anyway because we run around, you look, everyone, you know, we do that thing that most people do where you go, I'll get back to that, and you go, fuck, it's been 3 days. I'll get back, you know, now I'll do it. But then after a couple, I was like, okay, you know, you're in the middle of it, and then you probably, once a few big things happen, it's difficult to have to reiterate those things to more people all the time. And you've got professionals and stuff you've got to deal with. If you know, finance, you've got to go sit with the accountant. It's not always, then you've got to deal with someone else and you've got to do another thing. You don't always want to sit down and go through it all again with someone else. you know, and then after a few of those things happen, you're like, I've got 7 big things I've got to talk about and I cannot be asked. And now I've got 10 big things and now it's too much and now I can't catch you up because it's too much to do in one go and
See,
I'm knackered.
In hindsight, if I could have my time again, I wouldn't, by the way. Annus horribilis. Annus and a half horribilis. But I think if I had my time again, I would have spoken to you because I didn't speak to anybody. So when I know what you mean, you don't want to say the same thing over and over. That's annoying, but I wasn't saying it to anybody. And I think that in hindsight made it harder. But I felt like I couldn't even articulate how much I was having to learn. I couldn't even do it. And I think I said that to you on a few occasions. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. It's a lot.
So what do you think? Because I do hear nobody ever, got mad at me for disappearing, which I'm really grateful for because I don't like it when people get mad at me, particularly when I'm sad.
Yep.
But people do. A lot of people do. And, there's whole Reddit threads on how long is acceptable to not respond to a text message. I just don't think you're wired that way.
Yeah. I mean, you get frustrated. Everyone can get frustrated and everyone can feel sad about stuff. And, I missed you,
Yeah.
Like I miss you because I miss you. But
I also didn't want you to know as well because wasn't that it was embarrassing. It was just such a mess, and I don't know, you and your eyes looking at me, I just couldn't stand it.
It's hard. It's hard to think when you've developed so much competence to then find yourself swimming in all this like lack of competence and just be like, I don't want to be perceived as this person, and I work so hard to be past step 1 that now that I'm back at it, this isn't something that I want someone to be that's known me from step 30
yes
to know me at step 1. But I think good friends are here for all of it, the ups and the downs, the starts and the finishes and all the things in between, and but I also understand that how vulnerable it feels if someone's with you in those moments and you're not 100% sure what's going to happen because it's been ages since anyone's been there and in that circumstance for you, so I get it.
And also I just didn't want to bring anyone down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just don't want to be a burden. If you've only got miserable, hard things to say, you sound like you're whinging. And I just thought, God, I know your story. I know all of the things that you hear and the people that you help and the people you work with and all of that. And I just thought, this feels really a lot for me, but I know that it isn't, and I didn't want to complain to you.
I always think it's so funny when people say that to me because I'm like, if I had a rash and I had a doctor friend and I'm like, oh, you look at rashes all day, I'm not going to show you my rash. Like, that's exactly the person you should show it. That person's got more rash reps in than anybody, Like, and people go, oh, you won't want to hear about my bullshit. I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm good at it. But I also have seen enough and know enough, and myself, I don't practice everything that I preach in that regard, about talking about stuff either, So we all have those moments. Not everyone feels they'll be a burden if they talk to others about their problems, but some people really feel that. So if you're one of those people, then it's a normal, or it makes sense that you would respond that way.
Did you know that that's the sort of person I was?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And you seem to have been born with the ability of active kindness.
Yeah. Well, that's very lovely of you to say.
And it's rare, actually. I find that people are kind, people are good in general. But to be constantly thinking of ways to be thoughtful and kind and really mean it is rare. I think we should all do it a little bit more.
100%.
What do you say to people that would like to be that sort of person? Where do you start?
I think the starting point is to prioritise it, to think of it as being something that's really important to you as a starting point, and then to recognise that it's easier to do that, or it's easy to be nice to the waiter and friendly to everyone and show up for your friends when things are going well, like when you've got all your shit together and everything's going well. And so in that moment, you can sort of get by and go, yeah, see, I do care, I do it. And I think it's when the pressure's on and things aren't so easy, you're feeling a certain way, you're letting your own, you're not having a great day or things are difficult. If you drop it off then it's not a priority. It's clearly not really a priority to you. And I use that consideration to sort of reorient what I'm doing, partly to get out of my own head sometimes. And partly because I think that you learn about how difficult it can be, or where the challenges are when you try and do something and you've got to work around it. There's been times I haven't really had money for stuff, at all. And so someone wants a beer and I don't really have the money. And then I'm like, well, I'll buy the beers because first of all, like silly things like I'm embarrassed to not buy a beer or whatever, blah, blah. But then, okay, I'll eat baked beans for a couple of weeks because we had a few pints or whatever. But that moment mattered more than whether I went, baked beans for a couple of weeks kind of is a bit shitty. So when you do that, then you get that experience, and then you realise you have more space for other people because you realise how difficult it is. And if the difficulties pile up and not everyone's thinking about this all the time, and so you have empathy not just for people having a difficult time, but empathy in the way that people respond, because you know how hard it was when you did it, and it's easy to imagine a tiny little bit harder and you wouldn't have been able to do it either, or you could have easily picked some other way forward. And I think that helps.
There was that cheesy book about love languages and whatever. Yeah. Everyone's done that when they've first gone out with their boyfriend or girlfriend. But do you think that empathy and how we show it, not how we receive it, how we show it, is more to do with the person that's doing it? And does the things that you do reflect your own, the things that make you feel good? Like, does it make you feel good when you're feeling shit if a friend texts you?
Oh, yeah.
To know that they're thinking of you.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's nice. But I also know how it can feel like a lot on a big day as well when you've got a lot on there. It's one of the reasons why I think it's great when you've got friends you can sort of just have a little yarn with a lot regularly.
Yeah.
It takes the catch-up immensity out of it. And so I'm really bad. I cannot remember a time really that I've texted a mate and gone, mate, I am in all sorts and I need to talk to you. So if I haven't spoken to anyone, if it ended up I haven't spoken to anyone for 10 days, I'm just sitting on it. And then by the time it rolls around, it's been 10 days, the catch-up is too much and I never get to that point. But if you're just catching up and then, what's going on? Like, I didn't sleep that well, or this going on. Well, something happening, spinning around a little bit on this in my head. And it just takes the seriousness out of it and like that focus on me. I'm woefully uncomfortable with pulling a conversation together around myself. Like, I'm having a bad day. Gather around, team. I need you all to just chip in.
I'm going to take you through it minute by minute.
Minute by minute. If I could tell you a story about when I shit myself in Peru. No worries. Gather around, everybody. I'm happy to be the centre of attention for that, but I wouldn't do it for those sorts of things. And for me, it really, those little touch points regularly really help.
That is a great tip because I don't do that. And that means that the people that I really love and that I know love me and I feel that love don't really know what's going on. I keep that away from them out of necessity because I'm busy and I have to move on to the next thing. And then like every 3 days there's something. And then 3 days after that, I can't remember what that was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that is really good. Would you go so far as to set a reminder? I'm going to set a reminder to call you and my friends. And would you dial the number?
Yeah, I recommend all the time for people to put it in their phones. It's so easy to forget stuff. The time goes so quick. And like I've got dates in my phone for my mates, like their kids' birthdays, like when anniversary of like people passing away, like their family members and stuff
My
like
sobriety
that.
anniversary, you're
That's
the
right.
only
Yeah.
person that remembers that,
Yeah.
including me.
Yeah, that's right, including you. Thanks for the reminder. I forgot about that.
I'm like,
you know?
wow, yes, it is too. 4 years.
Yeah, because sometimes you need people to celebrate the stuff you sort of are a bit over or don't think about that much as well. Yeah, so I think that's good, and then I think just the touching base and knowing like, hey, look, if this conversation goes for 3 minutes, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Touch base, how's it going? What's happening? What are you up to? Just driving here, big day, whatever. I'm kind of tired. You get 10 I'm tired conversations in a row, you get a sense of like what's happening. You know, if you get, I'm away this weekend, I'm partying this week, I'm doing this week. You go, okay, it's interesting. You're doing those things, or I'm out for dinner all the time. Oh, you've got people around you. You know, like cool. You're being social. That's nice. And you've got friends where you're like, you're being social means you're saying yes to too many things, and you're probably going to burn out. I can see that in your future. Or you're saying yes to things and you're not hiding out in a cave. That's good for that other friend who you go, that's good. You've got it together. But that's part of those little touch points of how you get to really understand like the rhythms of people's lives as well. And then you can help in more active ways that make sense. You know, so then that's useful because it's like, otherwise it gets more generic, and the more generic the help is, the less pointed and good it can be, I think, sometimes.
Everyone that ever comes to my house, which is rare, I'll admit it, but, you know, it's such a miracle when me and my primary school girlfriends, the planets align and we all see each other. It's just so gorgeous. But everybody leaves with a little frozen meal of some description that I've made. And I even invested in a huge deep freeze to keep them in, because I just think what a delightful treat to not have to think of dinner.
The best.
The best.
And when you're offering help for people, because this happens a lot. So one of the reminders I put in my phone, someone dies, someone has a baby, those sorts of things. I put the reminder in for like 6-7 weeks afterwards when everyone else has dropped off, because the first couple of weeks, everyone's around, you get inundated with stuff.
Yeah.
You get 48 lasagnas and everyone's messaging you constantly. And then 6-8 weeks later, you're on your own. But like the hustle and bustle of the first 6 weeks has passed. And that's usually when people like are left with their own devices, you know? And so you check in then, and then you're at the right time.
Yeah, that is the time, isn't it? 6, 7, 8 weeks, you realise that life is going to go on and you have to get over it, get into it, keep living without that person, that situation, that relationship. That's hard.
Yeah, it's a big time. And then I think it's good to offer people help that they can then mould to their own needs. So if I just say I'm bringing you over a lasagna and your fridge is full, you don't want to say no, but like also you don't really need it. And say, hey, can I make you dinner sometime next week or the week after, or would you like me to drop something off? And they go, you know what, Tuesday in a fortnight I've got nothing on and it would be awesome, and now I can plan my shopping around it, so I haven't just done my shopping and filled the fridge with everyone else's stuff. And now it's useful and it's in the calendar, and that's good. And sometimes it's like the asking and the paying attention in that way can be really good. And it helps you work out what's useful for people as well, because people like different kinds of help. Some people want to walk, some people want a beer, want a meal, want to laugh, want to just have a yarn on the phone for a few hours or whatever, or like text heaps or something. So it's good to do those things and work it out. But when you give people some choices, I think that's really important.
I naturally gravitate to being kind and trying to make people feel good about themselves. But I find it hard, it's not that I find it hard to accept. I don't know what kindness looks like to me. And I think, I didn't until this situation with you and I. And I think what I learned from you and no one else is that what kindness feels like to me is maybe, I don't know, just like a presence, a non-judgmental. I don't know, it was weird. It's weird what you did. You're a very weird man.
I'm a weirdo. But I think we have a really wonderful relationship of just being able to be. you know, and you're doing all the time. You've got you want one of the great doers, and you're always doing stuff, and then we just get to be, and you don't have to pretend. And I don't need you to do anything for me, and so that doesn't come with a list of stuff. And that's very strange.
That is strange.
I mean, apart from, eating spring rolls, we don't really have anything that we have to do on a regular basis. I
drove through, what was it, Murrumbina. Was it Murrumbina where we had a great ground?
Yeah, there's been some good ones. But
I grew my own Vietnamese mint.
I thought you were going to say you grew your own spring roll.
I've got a spring roll. I've got a spring roll bush at home. No, I grew my own Vietnamese mint because, they never give you enough.
No. Yep. They never give you enough.
They never give
you enough, yeah.
And so it goes like wildfire. It's amazing. We need to get back into that.
Yeah. Yeah, but the doing and the being are different, and I'm not a great beer. In general, it is different, and it's really lovely. It really is nice.
Where are we going to be next? Let's put it in the diary.
Yeah,
can we please?
Yeah, we can.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because I've really missed you, and also I just really want to thank you for that, because it was a fairly lonely time by my own doing. Because I had these huge areas of my life that had changed fundamentally, and I'm so, I take it so seriously, making sure that everyone's okay and doesn't feel in the dark, or I don't know. I just didn't know what I was doing. I had so much to learn in all the big areas, and I just always knew that it was like I was on stage and everything was crazy, and then you were just off in the, side of stage, just, no comments, just watching. And that felt very nice and also your timing was extraordinary, because a curveball would be thrown at me, or something wouldn't work out, or I hadn't quite made the right decision, and then you would pop up in my phone. And I didn't, the protocol is when somebody messages you, you message them back. I know that, of course. But it was different with you. It was like you didn't expect it, and you were just there going, remember who you are, You're still that person, even though everything, is crazy. Everything's great now. But my God, Josh.
Yeah.
Far out.
I think everyone's had those moments where things are going so nuts. They're like, if I lose grip on this, I won't grip it again. And so I've just got to keep my head down and away from anything that might even put the tiniest crack in it.
It's like, you got greasy hands at the show, and your helium balloon, it's gone. You just watch it. Can't ever get that back.
No, and look, everyone who loves you is glad to see you come out the other side, and but things will happen again. They'll happen, and we'll be here again. And
I won't. I'm not going to isolate next time.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at that now. Even.
Try it out, see what happens. A/B test, next crisis. Come back and go, you know what? Actually, I am going on my own again. The third time I'm back on my own. This is the second time was rubbish.
Guess
I'm
what?
out.
I asked for help.
Amazing.
About 3 weeks ago.
That's so good.
And I got it. And the person really was my sister. Really loved to help. She was so happy to help.
I learned it's like a kind of like an urban myth that I was told years ago. Came up from in my work, and the story is that a son and his mum, they go next door and they ask the neighbour for like a cup of sugar or whatever, and they get the cup of sugar and they bring it home, and the son goes to the mum and goes, why'd you ask them for a cup of sugar? Like, we've got sugar. And I was like, well, they come and ask us for help sometimes. They need $20, they need a thing, they're not doing as well as we're doing, and so they need help. But if it's always just them asking for help, they'll get really uncomfortable with it over time. So every now and then I ask them for something I know they can do, so that it doesn't get out of balance and that they feel like we're all contributing, because that's what we want. We want people to feel like they don't have a benefactor, they just have a friend,
Yeah, right.
And So
It's an
every now and then
exchange.
you do the thing
not
and you give them some agency in that process. And I remember I did some work with a family and then they invited me for dinner. It was out of scope to go to dinner or whatever at their house. And I was like, a day was it was a busy week. It's always a busy week. And I was like, and I remember the thing, I was like, oh yeah, I should go. And it just makes it, people just stay engaged longer if you do that kind of stuff as well. And it's not to say you need to constantly ask everyone for help, but that it is a lovely thing to be trusted enough to be asked for help, to be deemed competent enough for this person who you love to go, hey, can I get a chop out here with this?
Yeah.
And so most of the time people are rapt about it. They're rapt to be asked for help.
Yeah.
And they'll do their very best, to step up and give you that help, which is lovely. It's one of the great, lovely things about friendship.
It's the best.
Yeah.
That's why friendship is a superpower.
It's so good.
I'm about to let you go, tag you and release you back into the wild. But I do want to talk briefly about Just Be Nice project. You are an incredibly intelligent man and you could be, I don't even know the names of these companies. Price, Coopers, Waterhouse, I think. Deloitte's. Oh, that's one of them. But you could easily be one of those guys, moving and shaking and blue chip this and blue chip that. And you're not. Why? Why is what you do more important than what society has told us all is important?
I just think people deserve help. They just deserve a leg up. The question I've always tried to answer is why don't people get the help that they need when they need it for as long as they need it, regardless of how they come to need help? And we have this real culture of deciding who's worthy or not worthy, whether we explicitly or implicitly think about it. We blame individuals a lot for certain kinds of problems and not others, or certain challenges. And we leave people to just flounder like that's part of some kind of comeuppance for having a difficult time. You've got to struggle for ages before we'll consider you worthy of help or something. And I hate that. I've seen so many people who just need help, and
we all need help.
And we all need it. Everyone at some point
that's life.
Needs it. Yeah.
It's like what I say to my kids, if they feel sad or if they have a bad day or something, I'm like, I'm not here to change that. That's life. Don't believe what people tell you that it's got to look like an IKEA ad.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't for anybody. What you're feeling is very normal. Go to bed. That's my... Do you know what I mean?
Go to bed, grab a super duper, have a nap.
It might be different tomorrow and it might not be. But that's the whole landscape of it.
Yeah.
So why doesn't everybody see that? I know that human beings look at people that are, generationally down on their luck or struggling, and they go, well, that's a you problem.
Yeah. I think people are really good at recognising opportunities that they didn't have and not really good at recognising opportunities that they have had, and not great at observing the way in which the world helps you out and in ways that aren't your fault in a positive way.
Yeah.
And if you take full responsibility yourself for every good thing that's ever happened to you and ignore all the ways in which you were supported by being born in Australia, for instance, really low-hanging fruit, having Medicare and, having parents that were supportive or, having an education, whatever, then it gets a lot more granular than that. But if you can't recognise that and you're always thinking, oh, I did this because I did X, Y, Z, then the advice you're always giving other people is what you need to do is blah, blah, blah. And you're not looking around them to go, hang on a minute, you don't have that supportive parent in your corner. You don't have the opportunity to go play footy. You don't have the educational opportunities I had and that great teacher who brought you along, and the books in the house, and the sleep that you got, the sleep that kids in struggling houses don't get. And can you imagine the first 12 years of your life just not having sleep or food or
some
peace,
some dedicated clothes to sleep in?
Yeah. And I've seen all of those things, and I'm painfully aware of those circumstances. And then we tell the story about this kid at 5 going through these things, and everyone's very sad. But that 5-year-old becomes a 20-year-old, and then at 20 they're like, "Well,
so why is it less
sort your
sad?
life out?" Yeah, I'm amazed that some of these people are still up and about, even if they haven't reached their potential. They haven't been able to live up like live into all these opportunities, you know, that they could have had otherwise. So it's just trying
It must be easy to feel hopeless in that situation because also everywhere you look, people are going, "You're hopeless."
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the way that people respond to you in the world is a thing that most people don't recognise happens to them. We talk about code switching and stuff where people sort of change how they present in different places, but there's also just some people walk through life and no one smiles at them and no one says a kind word to them and they have no mates and they have no family that's any good and they've been deeply hurt and let down in a million different ways, so that even when you rock up with help that could be good, would you trust them? You know, like, would you trust? It's never been the case for you. And so you don't engage, and then someone goes, "See, you don't care, you don't want to do the thing," and it's like that's not how it works. You know, that's not how it works. So it's a long process. But what I try to do is teach people like how to do it better, how to look at it better.
How do we do it better?
Things.
Because you know the government throws a lot of money at some
stuff.
Yeah. You know, certainly the public gets behind certain cool, you know, charities and fundraisers.
Yeah.
What, in your, you know, experience, is the best change-making model?
So the full change-making model that I developed for JBN takes hours to go through. But a couple of like things that I think are really useful for people who are wanting to start thinking about it. One of them is to I say to align your aspirations. So whatever you want for the people that you care about the most in the world, your kids, your friends, your parents, whatever, just want that for everybody else. If you want your kids to go to school in a castle and have Saturday sports and 4 instruments and learn 12 languages and have tutors every day, just want that for everybody else.
Yeah.
And then if they don't have it, recognise that that's a deficiency that we should all work together to remedy. If you want really high quality healthcare for your mum who's really crook, to be in a hospital where she's seen really well for as long as she needs to be seen, want that for everybody else. You know, if you want a good job for someone who you care about, where they earn enough to be able to buy a property somewhere and live comfortably and raise a small family or whatever, just want that for everybody.
Yeah, why should that person that you know deserve that?
Yeah, it's not a zero-sum game. We can bring everybody along and up and we don't have to like hoard it all ourselves. And then the other thing is that like not all help is the same. And so there's a couple of different kinds of help, and paying attention to the kind of help that you're advocating for, giving or receiving will help. So some help is like cheering help. But I have to do the whole thing. So if I'm going to run a marathon, I have to run it from start to finish, or I haven't run the marathon. You can't run it for me, and you can't like pick me up and carry me. But what you can do is you can provide me with things that might help along the way, drink and something to eat, and you can cheer me on, and that's useful because that's all you can do in that context. That kind of thing I'm trying to do, that's how you can help. Another kind of help is moving a couch, and I can't do it on my own, and I need you to not cheer and bring me a snack, but jump on the other end of the couch, lift it up, and move it with me. And in that case, that kind of help, 2 people doing the thing together to actually finish the job. And if you stop in the middle, it's kind of useless. And if you cheer me on, it's useless. And if you help a little bit, that might be good and you run out of time, that we may have made some progress, but I still haven't finished it. And this other kind of help is like a surgery, where someone with skill and insight who knows what they're doing has to do a job to fix someone or get an outcome. Now, if you do a half surgery, that's worse than no surgery.
Yeah.
You can't just leave someone on the operating table in the middle of it. And so if you start helping someone on something that's going to require all this assistance and knowledge and things to fix the problem, and you drop out in the middle, you leave them worse than they were before, even though you've tried to help and go, oh, wasn't some help better than nothing? Not always. So is it a couch? Is it a marathon? Is it a surgery? Know the kind of help you're trying to give someone, and know whether or not you're able to like finish the job properly, or you're going to give the adequate help. And then for almost every kind of help you're trying to give people, have more patience than you probably have. Drag the timeline out much longer. Preferably no end date. Just don't put demands on people. Just be there and be ready to do whatever needs doing until it's done.
And trust that they're a human being.
That's right.
With agency and hopes and dreams.
Yeah, and it's not linear. People go forward and back and up and down, and you know.
If people want to get behind JBN and you, I say, get in front of him.
Yeah.
Scare him. No, where can we find you?
All on the internet everywhere.
On the internet.
JVNproject.com.
The information superhighway.
Yeah, the World Wide Web. It's one of the great innovations. So we're on the web, jvnproject.com. All my stuff, joshreedjones.com. It's my name on everything as well, Josh Reed Jones.
You're an excellent person.
You're an excellent person.
I want to talk next episode about all the books you read.
Oh yeah, love to.
And the first question I'm going to ask you when we meet again, which will be sooner than
Very
18
soon.
months,
Yeah, of course.
is your name is Josh.
Yes.
And your brother's name is Israel.
Yes.
Are you jealous?
Good question.
It's one of the great names.
He's one of the great blokes. I tell you, he's a ripper.
Aren't you lucky?
Very lucky.
Aren't I lucky? Thank
We're all
you,
very
Josh.
lucky to have you. Thank you, Chrissy Swan. You're an angel.
You are.
Love you.
2 words, Revo Fitness. Here's a few more. Simple, 24/7, Reformer Pilates, body scanners, massage chairs, squat racks, free weights, pin and plate loaded equipment, no lock-in contracts, no bullshit. All of that and more from just $9.69 a week. That's surprisingly affordable. Join now at Revo Fitness Victoria Park or download the Revo Fitness app, revofitness.com.au, or find the Revo Fitness app in the App Store.